Polk's obsession that quietly redrew the map. He promised one term, one mission, and total exhaustion. No speeches about legacy. No patience for delay. Only an obsession that would not loosen its grip. James K. Polk entered the presidency with a clarity that bordered on fixation. He did not see the office as a stage for persuasion or unity. He saw it as an instrument, a tool to accomplish a single, sweeping transformation. And once that transformation was complete, he intended to disappear. To understand Polk's presidency, we must understand the world he believed he was racing against. In the 1840s, the United States was expanding rapidly but unevenly. Borders were unclear. Foreign powers still held vast territory. The future shape of the nation felt unsettled, temporary, vulnerable to delay. Polk believed hesitation would cost America its destiny. The idea that drove him was simple and dangerously powerful. Expansion was inevitable. The only question was who would control it. Polk believed the continent was meant to be claimed, organized, and secured under American authority. Not eventually. Now, before rivals moved, before politics slowed the moment, before opportunity vanished. Unlike other presidents, Polk did not drift into conflict. He engineered momentum. He studied maps obsessively. He tracked negotiations personally. He pushed Congress relentlessly. Every decision flowed from a single objective: redraw the nation's borders in one decisive surge. At first, this focus looked like discipline. He reduced distractions, avoided ceremony, worked himself into physical decline. The presidency became a closed room filled with documents, deadlines, and calculations. Polk rarely rested, rarely socialized, rarely questioned the path once chosen. But obsession narrows vision, and as Polk pressed forward, the consequences of expansion grew heavier. New land raised old questions about slavery, about balance, about whether growth was strengthening the republic or tearing it apart from within. Still, Polk did not slow. He believed history rewarded decisiveness, not caution, that nations were shaped by those willing to push past doubt. And in his mind, doubt was the real enemy. This was the beginning of a presidency that would quietly transform the United States. Not through inspiration, not through unity, but through relentless focus that allowed no alternative future to survive. Polk's obsession soon turned diplomacy into pressure, and pressure into conflict. He moved first in Oregon, pushing Britain to the brink while privately calculating limits. Compromise was not weakness, only strategy. He secured territory without war, then redirected his attention south and west. That was where his vision demanded resolution. Mexico stood in the way of his map. Its northern territories were vast, lightly governed, and politically unstable. Polk believed American expansion that was both inevitable and necessary. But inevitability required acceleration, and acceleration required justification. Tensions along the Texas border provided it. Troops were positioned. Claims were sharpened. When violence erupted, Polk framed it as defense. Congress was asked to respond, not debate. War was declared before the nation fully understood the cost. The Mexican-American War unfolded quickly, but not cleanly. Victories came. Territory fell. But each mile gain intensified an unspoken conflict. The land Polk seized would not arrive empty. It would arrive carrying the nation's most explosive question: slavery. Inside the administration, warnings surfaced. Expansion at this speed risked fracture. Each new territory reopened debates the country had postponed. Balance between free and slave states trembled. Polk listened, then pushed forward anyway. He believed resolution could be managed later. Borders came first. Questions would follow. History, he thought, favored those who claimed ground before arguing over it. But the presidency was not insulated from consequence. Each success deepened division. As the war progressed, Polk's health declined. The pace he demanded left no room for recovery. He worked through pain, convinced delay would unravel everything he had built. Rest felt like betrayal of purpose. This was the early conflict of his presidency. Not military resistance, but moral acceleration, expansion that outran the nation's ability to absorb it. And a president, too, committed to pause. The map was changing. But so was the republic beneath it. As the war neared its end, the weight of expansion became undeniable. Polk had achieved his objectives, but he had also unsealed the future. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo delivered what Polk wanted: vast territories, California, the Southwest, a coastline that would soon reshape global trade. On paper, it was a triumph of vision. The United States had expanded faster than any president before him imagined possible. Yet victory brought no relief. The question Polk postponed now dominated everything. Would slavery expand with the land? Could the Union survive such rapid growth? Was the nation strong enough to absorb what it had taken? Debate exploded across Congress. Compromises formed and collapsed. Sectional identities hardened. The territories became symbols rather than places. Each map now carried political threat. The presidency Polk shaped could seize land. It could not decide the future of that land without tearing the nation apart. Privately, Polk understood the cost. He had kept his promise. One term, one mission. He had exhausted himself accomplishing it. His body was failing, his energy gone. But the republic he left behind was larger, richer, and far more unstable. The emotional conflict peaked here. Polk realized that obsession had worked too well. Expansion was no longer a choice. It was a burden passed forward. Future presidents would inherit territory, still arguing about its purpose, still divided over its meaning. Polk left office without fanfare. No victory tour. No attempt to shape memory. He retreated as promised, physically broken. 3 months later, he was dead. The map he redrew endured. The unity beneath it did not. This was the paradox of his presidency. He achieved exactly what he set out to do, and in doing so, accelerated the conflict that would soon tear the nation apart. The borders were settled. The nation was not. The true climax of Polk's presidency arrived after he was gone. The nation he left behind was larger than ever before, stronger on paper, richer in resources, poised for global influence. And yet, it was more fragile than at any moment since its founding. Expansion had succeeded. Absorption had not. Polk believed borders created certainty, that once lines were drawn, stability would follow. Instead, those lines became fault lines. Every new territory forced the country to confront questions it had delayed for decades: power, identity, slavery, balance. The map no longer unified. It provoked. This was the resolution Polk never lived to see. Expansion was not an ending. It was an acceleration. The presidency, once cautious and reactive, had become a tool for rapid transformation. Polk proved how much could be done in 4 years with absolute focus. He also proved how little control one president has over what follows. His story matters because it exposes a dangerous temptation: the belief that speed equals strength, that decisive action alone creates progress. Polk achieved more territorial change than nearly any president, but he left behind a nation racing toward conflict he could no longer slow. The presidency he reshaped would be used again, to push, to claim, to act first and debate later, sometimes with success, sometimes with devastating cost. Polk showed that ambition, when unchecked by reflection, does not end problems. It hands them forward larger and more urgent. History remembers the borders he secured. It rarely pauses on the instability he unleashed. Yet both are inseparable. Growth without cohesion is not strength. It is strain deferred. Polk kept his promise. One term, one mission, and consequences that lasted far longer than he did. Sometimes the smallest shift in perspective becomes the beginning of a new future. Polk's